Hi, my name is Cade, and we're going to talk about something that I'm very passionate about today, and that is DMing. I have been a DM since about 2015, 2016. I took a couple years break for reasons I will get into later, but I had my group prepare some questions for me to answer, and I hope I have enough time because I've recorded this is my fourth time recording, and I keep running out of time. I had to keep extending the video. Um, so the first one is, how do you prepare for unpredictable player actions? And that is, I had to learn this, but go with the flow. I had to learn how to go with the flow. Whenever I first started, I wanted everything to go perfectly, and I wanted all the plot points to be hit, and I wanted to make sure they got all the items, and I was miserable. So I had to learn how to go with the flow, and if something really, really needed to be found, then I would just change the plan and move things to wherever it was they were going. I had to find a reason why it would be there, but generally, it was pretty easy for me to do that. And I have been so much better off for that. Also, if what the players are doing is more interesting than what the plot is, I tie that in with the plot. I have to really think about it, and it's it's getting easier for me to do that because I have a group that can be really unpredictable, and I absolutely love them. I love them so much. They keep me on my toes, and they just they help me think more creatively. And for me, D&D is an exercise in creativity. So whenever they give me a chance to be more creative, I absolutely love it. There are times where I'm like, okay, why why would you do that? But on the whole, I genuinely appreciate whenever they give me a chance to be creative because I'm a creative person in general. I write books. Uh, I paint. I draw. Obviously, this is a speed paint. I crochet. I like doing creative things. It makes me happy, and whenever I find a way to learn how to think on my feet, it helps me not just creatively but also in my personal life because I don't have to have control over everything, and it's such a big help. The next one is, what inspires your NPCs? And I'm gonna be honest, dreams. I have a lot of dreams where I just I see somebody in my dream, and I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, yes, that one. I want that one. I also take inspiration from other NPCs in other games that I'm in. Um, I'm not in a lot of games anymore. There was a one point where I was in eight D&D games, and that sounds like an insane amount, but it was like peak COVID. We had nothing else to do. I didn't have a job. I wasn't working. So I was that's that's all I could do. This is 2020, 2021, you know. Also, I take inspiration from uh, characters that I've already put in my books. And uh, I was doing a Monster of the Week game. We called it Camp Possum, where they were counselors at a summer camp. And one of the NPCs there, uh, his name is Oscar. I will probably draw him at some point because he was in my book. And as far as I know, they really liked him. And that was a big hit for me because I love Oscar. Oscar is my baby. uh, Lila, who I'm drawing right now, was also uh, in that game, and they loved her. I know that for a fact because one of my players like jumped on the chance to romance her. literally, like, he saw her and he was like, that one, I want that one. But yeah, Lila loves cryptids, and I took that from me, actually. I love cryptids so much. But yeah, Oscar was one of the characters, and another player romanced him, and they liked him, as far as I know. Um, Also, characters from movies. This is a big one because you cannot always think of a completely original idea. Art art is derivative, and so is writing, and D&D games. Like, there is absolutely no shame in taking inspiration from a character in another piece of media. You can't always create a 100% original character. We are an amalgamation of the people around us anyways. So, just don't be afraid to, like, kind of scooch a little of those traits into one of your characters. The next question is, how do you create/decide on your settings? And I'm gonna say it again, dreams. I had a dream about Camp Possum, and I had a dream about a cozy alchemy shop, and like the alchemy shop idea is not new. If you're anywhere online in the D&D spaces, the whole cozy alchemy game, I feel like, is pretty popular. But I I'm pretty sure there's a book on that too. I'm not entirely sure because I wrote that into my book, and I don't know if I got the idea from something online because I have a really bad memory, or if I made that up and just put it in my book. I'm not sure. If you know, please let me know. um, and there's also, you can also, again, use stuff from media. Um, Someone I know was running a game based on Dune, and I think that's also pretty popular. Uh, there is a game that I almost joined that was based on, like, a magical version of, like, Fallout, like, the video games, and now TV show. But it was kind of based around that, and that didn't work out for me. I'm really, really disappointed. The DM ended up being a control freak, and nerfed like, what he thought was the strongest, like, subclass, and I couldn't do that. Just, I don't know. That just seems really controlling to me. The next one is, what is your favorite module? And I do not like modules. I don't like them at all. I don't like running them. I don't like really playing them because everything is so set in stone, and it's really hard for me as a DM to whenever somebody does something outside of the module, like if there's like a linear progression that you have to go through and they want to do something and there's really no reason not to, it kind of messes things up because I am a very well, this is what it says, so you have to do it, and that's why I don't like modules. I could, take my own advice and think on my feet, but with the module, there's like a set of rules, and I don't really like that. I have to be able to exercise creativity, and if you have like something that's completely set on specific actions happening, like Curse of Strahd. Oh my god, Curse of Strahd. I've tried to run Curse of Strahd twice, and there's so many moving parts, and that's another thing, so many moving parts. I would prefer to set my own things in motion and have the players set things in motion rather than, oh, you didn't go to this town, But when you come back to it, it's ruined. Not to give anything away for Curse of Strahd, but uh, I just modules stress me out so much, and if I'm stressed out, then I get kind of snappy, and nobody's having fun, and I'm working on that. Another one is, what do you do when a player figures out a plot twist early on? And I reward them because they figured it out. Just I mean, like, sometimes you figure things out in real life, right? So why would I not reward a player for figuring something out early? It gives them the vindication that they were correct in following their instinct, and it like completely delights me that they figured something out. I used to be the kind of person where, oh, if you figured this out, then, I'm a bad DM, I'm not smart, I'm not clever. And that's not true. Sometimes your players are smarter, or sometimes they have better ideas. So I had to like let loose on that control a little bit and just be like, I don't tell them. I reveal it that they were right later on, and I'll give them like clues to I will either give them like a red herring, like, oh no, I was wrong, or I will completely like lean into it. Like, I love leaning into it because it makes them excited. It makes them excited to continue to play the game. And I some people don't like learning plot twists early on, but I feel like on the whole, people like feeling smart. People like feeling appreciated, and people like, feeling like what they do matters. And in my games, they absolutely do. You absolutely, if you if you figure out a plot twist, kudos to you. I may tweak things a little bit to make it to where it's not exact, but it's like an approximation of what they've figured out. And I don't like changing things just because they figured something out. It doesn't really make sense to me, because that's a lot of extra work on my part anyways. So what's the point in changing everything just because somebody found out a plot point, They wanted me to talk about getting into the groove for DMing. So when I started DMing, I was very I was like thirsting for serotonin. I needed some sense of control in my life, and I thought, oh, I'm a writer. I can, write out a campaign, and maybe I can just, let them play in my world. The very first setting that I did was a magical academy. Now, mind you, this was back in 2015 before Strixhaven. And it pretty much, that was really hard. It was not just hard on me, but it was also hard on my players because I had never DM'd before. And anytime they figured something out, I panicked. And I was like, oh, I have to change this. I have to make it to where they don't know. Because if, like I said before, if they figure out my plot twist, I'm a bad DM, and that's just not true. But it took some getting used to, and one of the first group that I ever played with, like there were 3 good players out of 5. One of them got angry at me because at this time, I think Critical Role, I've never listened to Critical Role. I think Critical Role was a really big thing back then. I don't know if it is now. I don't really pay attention to Critical Role. Um, and uh, Matt Mercer had introduced the like guns or whatever to D&D, and he wanted to press the barrel to like a goblin and like threaten it, and then when he pulled the trigger, I had, like, per the rules, I had him roll, and he was angry that it wasn't just an act, like a hit, like an automatic hit. And we had to sit and explain to him, how guns in real life actually work, like they can jam. And he got so angry with me that he stood up and started yelling in my face. And I was like, bro, it's a game. um, but that actually, I had to learn like conflict resolution. Like if my players have an issue with each other, I had to like learn how to uh, make sure that they didn't uh, leave the table completely unsatisfied. Now, you cannot please everyone. You absolutely cannot please everyone. So there are going to be times where my players will not like the ruling that I've made, and I had to learn how to explain to them, here's why I made that ruling. Here are my reasons. I will hear you out. And there are times when they fight with each other. Um, and, of course, that's really awkward. But I had to be firm and be like, you guys can either settle this now or you can settle this later. But right now, here's what I'm saying. It D&D has helped me become more assertive, and I appreciate that about that because I was not assertive at all. I was a pretty big doormat. But nowadays, if somebody, especially like in a game, if somebody starts getting kind of snippy, I'm like, okay, you need to take a step back. Uh, because I don't like awkward silences at my table. I don't mind silences where they're thinking. But if somebody is being like aggressive or ornery or what have you, then I don't do that. If you're going to be a butt about something, you can take a 10-minute cool down. And the group that I'm in, for the most part, is pretty good. There have been a couple instances where there's been like awkward, tense silences, and they're very rare, actually. They're very, very rare. And I feel like that's really, really good. And I don't think it's like me. I think we've just gotten into a groove to where we know each other so well. We've been playing together since 2019, and it's been really great. I absolutely adore this group that I'm in, and I hope that we play for another 20 years. how did you get into the groove of DMing? And I will say outright, when I first started, I was a horrible DM. I was absolutely horrible. Like I said before, I had to have complete control over everything. If anything went sideways, or if they didn't do exactly what I wanted them to do, it stressed me out so much that I just burnt out, and I couldn't do anything. I would literally get sick before going to like D&D, because I was like, what if they figure this out again? What if what if they don't like it? What if, just a whole bunch of what ifs, and it was too much. I actually quit DMing for like 2 or 3 years because I just could not deal with the stress of it. And then I met my current group, and I had DM'd for other people before, and that was kind of like where my learning curve was, before I met my current group, and I got to like playtest a lot of like strategies and stuff. Um, and they're very understanding. They're very um, loosey goosey, go with the flow too. And like, I love them. I appreciate that about them. Um, and I think one of the really big things about DMing is, I talk with my players. Do like I I do like critiques and stuff. Make sure that what I'm doing is okay. Uh, so I like to check in with my players. The next one is advice for people who want to get into DMing, and biggest my biggest thing of advice is do not get caught up in the wrong details. Like, if something is not exact, if you want that to be like, if your players are okay with that, that's fine. But if if you get caught up in the really small details, then you're kind of muddying the waters a little bit, and it'll be harder for you to like keep up with things unless you're like super meticulous. But another thing is like, don't expect perfection, and nobody gets it right the first try. DMing is something that you learn and you grow with. You don't just know how to DM. I didn't know how to DM. I don't think I'm the world's best DM. I don't even think I'm a great DM, but I have learned so much about just everything about, just like, it's actually helped me grow as a person. It's crazy. And another thing is like, try different DMing styles. Like, if you really want to be a note taker, take notes. If you don't want to take notes, don't take notes. If you want to have like a special formula for NPCs, you can do that. If you want to roll like on an encounter table, that's fine. Figure out like your long rests, figure out supplies, if you want to do encumbrance or not. Just kind of experiment a little bit. Don't expect to get it right the very first time. And just have fun with it. Do what's fun for you and your group. That's the important thing, is what's fun. And that's everything. So thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.